Let's take a look at what we have. So if you visit our main page, it redirects directly to the art page, which is essentially just a listing of our art. If I click on this first one, you can see there's details. We can go back or we can click contact me, and that'll take me to a page where you can contact me. We haven't developed it yet. As a refresher, let me close these out for a second. Make sure I save this good stuff too. Over here, actually, let me double check that the app is working. Okay. Yeah, sometimes if you do it that quickly where it asks you to save and you maybe hit something with your hand or whatever, like maybe mess something up, then you could screw your thing up. So let's close this. I should leave that types open because I know we're going to need it. So here's where we're at. The contact page is, now, is just this, okay? And if we look through here, here's our app routing module. Remember, this is where we route all of our stuff. Here's our imports. So it looks pretty good. All right, let's see what we're going to tackle next. All right, so let's work on our contact page, which would be this right here when I hit contact me. What I kind of want to do though is, let's see, sort of want a nicer button than, let's see, then that's there. So let's do button. Let's see what Bootstrap's got for us. Let's just search buttons in doc. Primary, secondary. Ooh, these are kind of nice. So the way to kind of have fun with this is just copy this and then toss it in a div tag. So what I want to have is my contact page open, the HTML one, and then we're going to need this because we're going to have to add a router. We have to import the class that helps us control routing. But for now, let's wrap this in a div. So I'm going to do div, and then let's hit enter here. Come on. And let's drag this in here. And then let's save it. And then let's see, did we leave off on our contact page here? Okay, there's our contact page. And in here, let's paste that button. Let's save that and see how that looks. And sometimes this can get a little annoying. If you click on it and it's like, it needs to refresh, start Visual Studio, sometimes restart the server. So there's that primary button. You can see it acts very much like the one in the thing, which is cool. So I'm going to go with this kind of style that we just copied from Bootstrap. Remember, if it's not working for you, go back over how to import in the Bootstrap stuff in that first video. Or one of the first videos where we talked about importing Bootstrap. All right, so in here, what I want to do is, let's see, here's our TypeScript file, the compact one, or sorry, the contact TypeScript file. So I'm going to hit Shift and Alt here, and I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to do activated router here. And then we need router from router, I believe. I think, let me double check this. Oh, it's activated route actually. Let's see. We want to get import activated route, and then I believe, is this capital? I might have to do the Googles. No, that's right. Okay. Import activated route from router. We're going to be using this to route between our pages, and then we're getting it from the router library. And then, because I seem to keep screwing this up because I did a pretty poor job of, I named these way too similar. I should have named these like art listings data. So I kind of, just so you know, for better naming conventions, if I'm throwing this stuff together, sometimes whenever you watch those tutorials and they do the really good planning out their file, make sure to do that. I just kind of wanted to show how to do some basic Angular stuff, and then this kind of just kept going. So anyway, well, we're going to import these two in. And really, the application's pretty solid. It's just these two are named way too similarly. Where we get our types, our interface is named A listing, and then our actual data is, if we right-click and go to references, it's just here, let's go in here. This constant that's storing the data, this array, is way too similar. So I should have just named it art listings data, and maybe I can refactor it and it won't screw up everything. You know what? I'm not going to mess with that for now. I'll do that on my own and offsite, and if it works, I'll show you guys in the next video. Anyway, long story short, I'm going to steal these two, or borrow rather, because they're all the same family of things, of code, and I'm going to save those in here. And remember, all we're doing is we're importing that interface that tells us the type of the data, and then we're importing the actual data in here. And so these are lightly blue, or like kind of quote unquote grayed out, because they're not being used. So let's go ahead and use those. And then you probably guessed that the next thing I'm going to do is go down here, and I'm going to grab just this. I don't necessarily want it to be an array just yet. I want, let's see. Yeah, let's just do this. So I'm going to grab this and paste it inside of here. And if you remember, this is making a listings of type art listing, so we can get the interface of like name, email, all that good stuff, name, description. Next, we're going to create an email, and we're going to make that a string. I'm going to Alt-Shift and down to copy that. I'm going to make this message. So this would be the message you want to send. So pretty much just standard email stuff. So this is the email address. This is the message that you would send to somebody. Now, what I want you to think about, see, we have this thing called constructor, and we haven't talked about it before. And I want you to think about it as a method. And in some other languages, the constructor has the same name as the class. So you would have, it would look just like a function or method, but it would have the exact same name as the class. And here, the constructor is called the constructor. And all I want you to think about is this runs, the second this script is called, the first thing this does is actually go through all the imports, and then it jumps directly to your constructor, and it runs any code that's inside your constructor first. So what I want to do is I want to activate a couple of router variables right away in my constructor, and they're going to get passed in. So like whenever you see this, this value here, anything plugged into this area here, it's passing the value in. So we're going to be passing in two router methods into this constructor first, and then whatever we want to do with them will be placed in here. But by passing them in there, we're sort of activating them right away. So the first one we want to do is we're going to create a variable called route, and it's going to give us access to all of the router stuff. So I'm going to hit comma there. And remember, we're passing these in as parameters. And maybe we should just name this router so it's similar to that class name. And then the next thing we want to do is another variable called activated route. So we'll just do route for this one, and we're going to make that of type activated route. And when we put these in practice, it'll make better sense. But just know essential that routing, remember routing and router, all we're doing within this is just sort of moving pages or controlling the flow between pages, right? So we have this slash here that'll take us here, all that stuff. And if you remember, we had that route to, which routed us back to our home page. So the next thing we want to do is on our initialize method here is we want to pull the ID, the listing ID out. And I know we've done that before in here. Let's see. Let's go back to our page here, our art page. And I'm just going to borrow that for a second from our, here we go, TypeScript file. So you'll see a lot of this similar code here, right? But down here, what I want to do is I want to pull that ID from our route, from our router. So I'm going to copy all of this and just paste that in there. Let's kind of close some of this out. And so I'm back in my contact page TypeScript file. And let's see, let's name this the same here. So what this is doing is, again, we're pulling a snapshot of the ID parameter and we're storing it in here. And what we're looking for is all listings by their ID. And we're checking if the current listing ID is the same as the other ID as we're going through this initialization. And remember that art listings, this specific one, just to be clear, notice when I double click it, it highlights up here. We're looking at the actual art listing. Let me see. We can go to that reference so you guys can see it. If I go in here, remember we're going to the art listing of this ID here, this type parameter here. So this ID 01, so all these two lines of code, I'm hoping I'm doing a good job of explaining this to you. This line of code is getting the ID. This line of code is checking if they was going to find whatever the current ID parameter is. It's checking if it's the same as the ID coming out of this file here, which is our data file. So that's what this is doing. It's finding the art listings is finding the ID from there. Okay, let me save this. Now, what we can do, which is pretty cool, is if you go to a lot of sites, for the convenience of the user, they have a default message, like if you're trying to sell something on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. So what we could say is this.message, and we can give it a default listing, an equal sign here. Now, if you're going to have single quotes within a line of text, right, you want to use the backtick. The backtick is located to the left of the number 1 if you're not familiar with it. So this.message, and then we have our equals, and here's our backtick. And what we're writing here is, hi, can I have more information about your piece of art? And then in here, we're going to put the piece of art that we're looking for. And so we could do it by this alisting.id. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Actually, let's go ahead and throw a $sign there because we're going to append it. There we go. And let's get rid of this for a second. We'll do this dot listing, this dot a listing dot name dash, or actually let's go ahead and let's do another one. So this dot listing dot a listing dot ID. Let's put a dash in here. And so what that's going to do is this message is the default message. It says, hi, can I have more information about your piece of art? And then it gives the ID in case there's a piece of art with a similar name. And then this dot listing dot name. Let's see how that looks. Did I save it? And I know we have to bring this into our page. I just want to make sure. Okay, so that there's no errors. Okay, so let's go back. All right, and then let's add another method here. And what it'll do is when we're ready, let's do void. It's not going to return any particular value. This will be used to send a message. We'll do like an alert box, I guess. And then we'll just say message sent. Actually, maybe an alert box might be a little annoying. But what it is we're going to call this method from a button just for now, saying that the message was sent. And then what we could do so that it's not just an alert that pops up, we could have it route back to our art page. So what I can do here is we can just write this, and then what we'll use is this router up here. This dot router, and then what this gives us access to is route by these different things, right? Route by navigate by URL. There we go. And this will allow us to navigate to a specific page. So here's art. So it'll just navigate us back to our art page once they send it. Once they send the message. So they'll send a message, alert, message sent, and it'll take them back to all of the page which has all of our art listings on it. All right, let's start to construct our contact page. So instead of let's see, button here. Instead of primary, we'll write send message. And then up here, what we'll write is, we'll create another div. And inside this div, we're going to have a label. And inside this label, we're going to write email. And then we'll have an input box. And the input box itself, not an Inuit box, but a input box. There we go. Start that over. There we go, because I wanted to auto. What is going on with me? Let's see. INPUT. There we go. Input box. And this input is going to be what our email is. All right, let's zoom in on this for a second so you guys can see this. So let's close that up. So what we're going to do is input, and then we want to. All right, so the name of this input box equal to is email. Now, let's set up a set of square brackets and parentheses inside, and we're going to type out ng model. And what we're doing here is it's kind of looks like it auto completed that for us, which was really nice, but we don't need all of this. Let's see, ng model. And what we're looking to do is we're looking to grab email and from this parameter, and then this is going to inject that whatever they type in into this email parameter here, this email string, using this ng model. Now, the reason we're getting this error here, it says cannot bind, because this is considered two-way binding, which means we're connecting it between the two pages. And it says cannot bind to ng model since it is an unknown property of input. So that might be a little confusing. All it is, whenever you see errors like that, it just means you have to go back to your initial modules page, which is, you see how we have all of these initial app component sections. You have this one, the app routing modules, and then you just have this app modules TS. This is what defines all of the modules that we're using. And because we have the path in there, we haven't been visiting this a lot, but it's been putting a lot of that stuff in there. So what we need to add is we need to add the forms module inside of here. And that's what's going to give us the ability to use ng model within the form. So I'm just going to click on in front of this import here, hold Alt and Shift and push down. And I want to import forms module. And and then I think it's from @AngularForms. Yeah. Yeah, good. I didn't have to Google that. So now that's imported. Let's go back to our contact page, contact HTML page, and take a look at. Let's make sure this is saved as well. And let's make sure our apps module is saved. And I might have missed something else. Here's our label. Here's our input. Oh, you know what? We have to add this forms module to our array down here. I forgot about that. So to our imports here. So I'm going to hit comma and paste that in and save that. And yeah, there we go. That should fix it. So that's the two. Remember, there's two steps in this process. Whenever you're importing a new module. Remember, modules are like, they extend our functionality. You have to first import it in, and then you need to add it to the modules array so it knows you want to use it. So here's our imports section. And let me save this as well. Let's take a look at how this looks. So let's go back for a second. Contact me. Back. Let's contact me. And why are you not updating? Do I have to restart this? Let's see. Contact page, email. We have a label with email. We have this button. Let's delete this and see if it's updating the page. There we go. Sometimes it just needs a little love. So here's this. We click send message. Let's see if it reroutes. So if I add an email, and why is this guy not rerouting? Did I forget something? Let me save this. Oh, we never hooked up the send message method. So what we could do here is we could say on click, what we're going to do is call a method, and we created a method called send message. You remember that? Sorry, when we click, we want it to call our send message method. And let's see, we're going to delete this. There we go. So we have a button type button, type button. I don't even know if this is necessary, to be honest with you. Let me get rid of this. And then it's our primary button. When we click on it, it's going to call the send message method that we put down here, which is going to send an alert, and then it's going to reroute us back to the art page. And I know this video is getting to 20 minutes. There's one other thing I wanted to do, and that's just show you how to get the message to show up in a text box. But let's look at this really quick. So if I send the message, it says message sent, and I hit OK, and it routes us back. So that's working. The last thing is, like, you have an area where you could type your email, but we don't have an area below it to enter our message. So I'm just going to grab this email area. I'm going to hit Shift and Alt. Or actually, let's grab this whole div. I'm going to hit Shift and Alt. And instead of a label, let's just do a text area. And let's get rid of this. And I'm going to get rid of this for a second. And so inside of this text area, which, let's try that again. Text area, there we go, because I was missing that. And then let's get rid of this label here. Let's just drop in that ng model message. So we'll just place it inside of here. And we'll change this to message. We actually have to drop it in the text area. So the text area here creates a text box, and what it's going to do is display our message. So let's test that. And we haven't really identified the parameters. So you can see here's a text box, and it says, hi, can I have more information about your piece of art? ID, this is the ID 1, Happy Planet. We could style this a little bit better inside of here, but for now I think that's good. Let me save this. I kind of just want it to say, let me close some of this stuff out. Here's our alert. Hi, can I have more information about your piece of art? And then we could do ID colon, and then like maybe item name, like that or something. And then might be able to wrap this in like a bold tag or something. Anyway, let's not overcomplicate this. It's already 20 minutes in. So let's see. Can I have more information about your piece of art ID 01 item Happy Planet? Then you hit send message and it routes you back. I think that's good for this video. I know it went a little long, but